So Oracle SOA suite. So as everybody says, it stands for service oriented architecture. So why do we need this service oriented architecture? So we have a couple of definitions over here. So let me pick it up one of the definition. Can you guys able to see my screen?
No. No, from my side.
Okay, that's good. So we have a couple of definitions over here. Let me pick it up one of the definition. So it says it's an IT strategy that organizes the discrete functions contained in enterprise applications into interoperable standards-based services to be combined and reused quickly to meet the business requirements. So what does it means? So he's talking about, let's take, we have a enterprise application. So you will understand what do we mean by enterprise application, right? It's a big application which is having a lot of functionalities. Let me give an example, kind of order management application. So he says when we wanted to build this application, divide that application into discrete functions. It means discrete functionalities, smallest functionalities. Implement those functionalities with whatever the skill set or the technologies that you are comfortable, but publish those functionalities into web services. So when you are publishing into web services, he's talking about those web services should be interoperable. So what does it means? Those web services should be able to exchange the information in between them, and those services should be standards based. So if any consumer wants to consume your service, whatever you have published, if you have given a standard, so that that consumer can follow that standard and can able to integrate with your web service. And then he's saying combine these services together, integrate them, so that you will be building the complete functionality. So that's what he's talking about. So divide your functionality in the with smallest modules and implement with whatever the technologies that you are comfortable with, and integrate those web services together to complete your enterprise application. Okay, so in terms of Oracle SOA suite, when you're building the smallest functionalities, so this suite gives a lot of components and vast set of activities. So each and every activity is meant for specific requirement usage. So you can use these activities to build your applications, and these are automatically published into services. Okay, and you can integrate these services together to complete your enterprise application. So here we are talking about something called a standard. So what is the standard a web service should have? So here we are giving a standard called WSDL. Okay, so let me just give you a high level details about the WSDL. So it stands for Web Services Description Language or Definition Language. Okay, so here he is trying to give us an example. He has a simple Java method, public purchase order, create purchase order, which has an input called purchase order, and it has a functionality. So he wants to publish this functionality into a web services. So when he want to publish this into web service, so he needs to follow the WSDL standard. So he's just trying to make us understand what piece of this particular code would follow into this XML document. So he divided this XML document into these segments. So all your operations will be moved into your port types. So it means port types contain your operation name, and your operation would be having your input and output. Okay, so these would be given a terminology called messages. So your operation in XML will be having your input message, output message, and those would be placed under something called messages tag. And these are not just primitives, these are kind of your POJO classes in Java. And in XML terminology, we will give a something terminology called its EBOs and EBMs. What is a EBO? What is a EBM? We'll talk about in detail when we go through the regular sessions. Okay. Guys, do you understand what is a XST?
Yeah, it's schema, right?
Yeah, it's XML schema definition. In simple
Yeah.
terms, when we are talking about these are Pojo classes in Java, right? So we will be creating similar instance in XML. So that's what we call it as XML schema definition, XST. How do we create this XML schema definition, what it contains? So we'll talk about later. Okay, but here just to understand, these operations will not contain just primitives. These can contain the Pojo classes. So we will represent the similar structure in XML in XST, and we will place those XSTs in something called types. Okay. And there is something called bindings which talk about when you publish this web service, how do you want it to consume, what are the protocols that you can use. Those would be available in something called bindings. And when we have implemented this web service, we need to host this service in some server. So where this service was hosted, all those details would be available in services tag. So this is at a high level when we are publishing any Java function as a web service. Any questions in this slide? So let me give you an example, probably in my next slide. So whatever we just discussed, you would be having something called visitor::port type. So this will be containing your operations. So this is the create purchase order. And your operation would be having an input message and output message. Okay, so your messages would be available in something called the messages tag. If it is a kind of simple primitive, those definition of your message can be placed in the messages tag itself. Since this is not a primitive, this is an XST or a ABO, it would be available in something called your XST, and that would be imported in your types element. Okay. And the binding will contain what are the protocols that you can make use to consume this web service, and service would be having the details of where this web service was actually hosted. Okay, so this is at a high level when we are publishing any web service, not just in Java, whatever the technology that you might use, Access Web Services or your .NET, anything. So anything that you will publish in terms of web service, that should contain these details, and that should follow a WSDL standard.
Okay.
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 So let's move on. So he's introducing something called SCA components. So SCA stands for Service Component Architecture. So these components are the various components provided by your Oracle SOA suite. So typical examples are your BPEL, mediator, human task, and business rules. You can have n number of components here. So let's take, I have a functionality. Let's take order management is my functionality. So when I received an order from order capturing system, so when I'm processing in order management product, the order might go through various flows. It might integrate with various fulfillment systems. Maybe it will integrate with your planning system, and then it will integrate with your inventory system, shipping system, billing system, and various fulfillment systems. So what SCA talks about, it is a component, and we don't bother about how this component was implemented. So this component will implement your business functionality. Okay, and to consume this particular component, this component would be exposed into a web service so that anyone can able to consume this guy. And if this component wants to talk to any external systems, we have mentioned, right? So this order management is trying to integrate with couple of fulfillment systems. like your shipment, inventory, all those. So all those systems can be integrated through the references this component has. That's what SCA talks about. And if we create any SCA component, whether it's a BPL mediator, the component level details would be available in .component type file. And this guy creates its own specific file. For example, when you create a BPL, it creates a .bpl file. We'll go through in details when we create all these components. Okay, any questions? What is a SCA?
It's a service component architecture.
Yeah, so it's just a component, so anyone can able to consume this component using the exposed services, and this component can talk to external systems using the references. Okay, and then he will introduce something called SOA. So SOA is basically integration of all these SCA components. Let's say I have a component A, component B. I can able to integrate these components together based on my business requirement. Okay, in your web application, everything would be wrapped into your web.xml. The number of classes that you create, whatever, even the security that you provide. Similarly, in terms of SOA applications, everything would be wrapped into composite.xml. From here onwards, when we build any SOA application, we give a terminology called composite application. Okay, and the advantage of your composite applications is your application will be once again published into a service. So anyone can able to integrate with your composite application as a web service. And if this application wants to talk to external systems, it is having something called reference.
Okay.
Okay. So in the next slide, he just giving an example. In the earlier slide, he mentioned component A, component B, right? So here he just giving various components that we can use, like BPL component, mediator, human task, rules, and he can integrate these components internally together based on the business requirement. And these components could be exposed as a services. So these are the exposed services, so that external people can able to talk to your application. And this component, if wants to talk to external system, you can create all the external references here. Okay.
Excuse me. So those external services can be consumed by the external using the web service, right? That external references.
So in simple terms, we have mentioned we will be integrating the web services together. Correct? Let's take this external service is your shipping service, and this is our order management application. So the shipping service will be published into a web service.
Okay.
So we will be creating the reference as a web service for the shipping service, whatever that guy was published.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah, so that can be used by the external whoever wants. We have to use those details for them. That's all right.
So this guy is actually consumed by, is actually published by shipping, and this guy is actually we are publishing. Let's take all these components are part of your order management composite application. And someone wants to talk to our order management, we are exposing as this service. So this is the whistle external people can make use and can talk to our system. Okay, and we are talking to external systems using the references that we are creating here.
Okay.
Got it?
Okay. Yeah. This one is the entry and that one is the exit. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So let's move on. So he just trying to compare what is an SCA and what is an SOA. So in simple terms, SCA are the building blocks. So using the vast number of components and activities provided by Oracle SOA Suite, you will be creating your functionality using SCA. And SOA is just a terminology. It talks about, it gives some standards if you're building this SEA components together. Okay, so SOA is just a terminology, so it doesn't have any implementation. SOA application could be prepared by integrating your SEA components together. Okay. So then he's just giving an architecture of your Oracle SOA suite. So did you guys worked on JDeveloper earlier?
No, we are using only NetBeans here.
Oh, okay, no issues. Okay, so let me spend a minute or 2 minutes just to give you a brief, a high-level understanding about this architecture. Okay. So we use JDeveloper to build our composite applications. We just need to add some extensions. By default, your JDeveloper will not be having a capability to create your composite applications. Even in NetBeans, we add some extensions, right, to create some specific applications. So similar. Yeah. So similarly, even in JDeveloper, we'll be adding those extensions. And this web service policy manager is used to provide the security for the composite applications that we create. And enterprise manager, do you guys heard about grid? So even in SOA Suite 11G, so G here stands for grid.
Okay.
So in every Oracle release, like even the database 10G, so what is meant by G? G is a grid.
And what is meant by C?
C.
Yeah, Oracle told C, right? Told C means what?
So from C, they are starting everything on cloud.
Oh, it seems like that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So here G stands for grid. So the terminology of grid is, it's a single module which is used to configure or administrate your entire product. Whether it's a DB, if it's a DB, in DB also you'll be having something called console. That's a grid to administrate or configure your entire DB. Similarly, in Oracle SOA Suite, Enterprise Manager, the short term EM, is used as a grid to administrate your whole SOA Suite. And these are the consumers of your composite applications. You can use SOAP, JMS, anything. Okay, and MDS. So when we build any web applications or J2W based applications, when we host on a server, so that application would be hosted on the memory of your server. Correct? But in terms of your composite applications, that would be hosted in the DB. So there are various advantages to host in the DB, because even if your server was crashed due to various reasons, so I can point another server to the same DB. So I'll be avoiding the application failover.
Okay.
So I don't need to redeploy that application. And there are a lot of advantages of using MDS. So we'll create some demo sessions for MDS in our regular sessions.
Okay.
Okay. And so let me talk about these components. So let me pick it up, this BPEL. It stands for Business Process Execution Language. So here if you look at, each and every component was designed for a functional reason. In case of BPEL, so I think I already given you an example, order management application. So when I got an order from order capturing system, to complete this order, it has to process with all fulfillment systems. Like, to know the availability, I need to call the planning, and I need to reserve on a specific customer using an inventory, and then the actual shipment has to be happen through logistics, and then we need to bill it or invoice it through your invoicing system. So here there is a business process has to be defined. So BPEL is used to write your process, step by step process. This is my first step, second step, third step. You need to orchestrate your business requirement into a process. To do that, you can use a component called BPEL. Got me?
Okay.
So that's at a high level, and when we are implementing the people component, it provides a lot of activities. So we'll go through those activities little later. So that's what at a high level people is used to define your business process or to orchestrate your business process. In this example, we will be creating all these steps one by one: planning, inventory, shipping, billing, all these steps, because everything is dependent on each other. Okay, so let me move on mediator. So mediator is basically used for the routing purpose. So let me give you an example. So we have mentioned there is a shipment fulfillment system. Let's take if I received an order from specific customer, I need to route that request or fulfill that request using my own shipping system. My order management application is using couple of shipment systems like shipment system 1, 2, 3. Depends on the item or a specific customer, I might fulfill my order using one of the fulfillment system. To do that routing, we can use a component called mediator. Okay, and there is one more component called business rules. If you look at day-to-day online portals like Amazon, Best Buy, so these guys actually provides lot of discounts. So sale out discounts, festive seasons. Okay, and if you look at when you are introducing these discounts, they will not brought down their applications, and these discount would be available over a specific time frame. Okay, to implement these kind of business decisions without interrupting or bringing down your server, we use a component called business rules component. And if we need anything called manual interventions in our day-to-day life, we raise the reimbursement request, right? So we get an email notification to our manager, he'll approve, and then the next further proceedings would be taken care. If we need such kind of human interventions required even as part of my order management or any application, then we can make use of this particular component. Okay. And there is a BAM component, business activity monitoring. Let me give you an example. I have an order management application. My management wants to know how many orders we have received for a specific item or from a specific customer. So they want to get a report over a specific time frame, maybe on a weekly basis, daily basis. They want to get a notification for all these things that they have the requirement. To do whatever happening as part of your application, the real-time happenings, you can use a component called BAM. So this guy used to monitor whatever happenings as part of your application and can send a notification with a report to the persons who are expecting these things. Okay, and there is an event-driven architecture, event delivery network available to send some events, probably whenever the shipment was happen for a specific order. So we wanted to send a notification to the parties who are all interested in. So we'll go through the demo sessions to explain all these things. Okay, so I'm just trying to keep you a brief. So what are these components meant for, so that you will get at least high level understanding. For the most of the components, we will do the demo sessions that is available in the course content if you look at it. Okay. Okay, so let's move on. So as part of this particular Oracle SOA Suite development session, so these are the course objectives. So we'll go through the people components, mediator, business rules, human task, BAM, and then some EDN sensors, signals, some kind of adapters, and how to monitor your applications, how to provide the security. And then there are something called springs, and I think I didn't mention the OSB as part of my PPT, but I have sent you in the Word document which talks about the course content. Okay, I think let me create a simple hello world application just to get you a feel how a composite application looks like.
Okay. And Sheikh, would you explain like how to set up the environment?
Yeah, we do cover.
Okay.
So we'll talk about this JDeveloper project structure little later. So for now, let me create some simple hello world application.
Okay.
So I can select the SOA project. As we talk about, we need to add some extensions of SOA. Then these things will be coming. So let me create an application called demo hello world. Okay, so giving composite as a suffix is a convention that we follow when we implement the real applications. It's not a mandate, it's just a convention.
Okay.
I think I already having an application of hello world. I think that should be okay. So let us create a simple Beeple process. Let me select the greatest revision. And process is a convention here when you're creating a Beeple process. So here there are a lot of templates. I'm not going in detail. So let me go with the default stuff. So by default, your input and output of your component are string messages. So when you're implementing your order management, probably you can provide your EBM as your input and output messages. And here I'm trying to expose my component as a SOAP service. Let me do one more thing. So probably with a different name. I'll say demo hello composite, for example. Okay.
Okay. Hello component. Okay.
So I'm just creating the process. So I'm just moving ahead with the default input and output messages. Okay. So from the demo session, if you look at it, so we will be getting one component type file. Whatever the component that we create, whether it's a Beeple, whether it's a mediator, whatever it could be, there is a component type file, and there would be the specific component file. Since it's a Beeple, we will be getting a .beeple file. If it's mediator or any other component, we will be getting another files. And since we have another extension file.
I mean, you mean two files or one file?
You will be getting a component type file for every component. In addition to component, we will be getting a specific relevant extension file. Okay, so let's provide some implementation for this particular component. So here I don't want to provide a lot of functionality. I just wanted to send a hello message to whatever input comes to me. So here we have a various activities. So I can make use of this assign activity just to assign data between different variables. So I'm just trying to assign the data and output variable. So I can make use of this expression builder. Okay. So I'll use all these functions. Let me make use of some string functions. I'll just concat. I'll say hello to this particular string message. So let's quickly validate and deploy. So I'm already having a WebLogic server with SOA Suite libraries installed, which is running in backend, and I created a connection in JDeveloper to make use of that server. So this is that server. So there is a concept called partition here. We'll talk about what is a partition maybe a little later. So let me select a temp partition. Okay, it's deployed. So let me navigate to Enterprise Manager just to send some request. So in our architecture, we have seen something called service infrastructure. So this is that application SOA infra, which comes by default with your SOA Suite installation. So all these are partitions. In the temp partition, so we have added something called hello composite. Now let's try to quickly validate this key. So this is a web service. You don't need to use this particular environment. You can use any web service client like SOAP UI. Okay, so I can send any message like for example smart minds. It's just a text. Okay, so I can test it. So it provides something called flow trace. Okay, so let's take, if I'm having 10 composite applications create as part of my order management application, when I have sent a request, and that request, when it has processed through by all these 10 applications, flow trace is a methodology in SOA which provides a link between all the applications. It means it gives you the flow trace, how it was navigated from various composite applications. Okay, so generally in Java or whatever the technology that we use, just to understand what is the flow the request has been executed, we will do some logging methodology. We'll say begin of the method, end of the method, and then we'll write what is the input that I have received. So in SOA, we don't need to worry about the execution flow of any request, because the BPEL engine or SOA engines will create a request instance in DB for every request that it receives. So even inside a component, it shows all the activities level. We can even validate what was happened at a specific activity. Okay. So if you look at here, it creates an instance ID. So let's take, I have my order management system. I got 100,000 orders. I should be able to understand what was happened to my 40th order. Okay, if there is something was errored out, I can go back there and I can use the exception handler methodology and I can recover that. So this is at a high level, and we are planning this session for 30 hours, and I have already shared the course content with you. Any questions, guys?
So far no, but it seems to be more complex.
No, it's not that complex, because we just need some practice when we go with the sessions, right? So we'll be having some basic introduction sessions like what is an XML, what is an XST, what is a WSDL, how do we create these, and then we'll go with some enter into the SOA components.
Okay. Okay, and is there like installation session as well, like how it is going to be?
Yeah, we go through the installation path as well. And yeah, we'll make sure this workspace would be set up in your environments.
Oh, okay. Because you know, I already tried to install in my PC, but I don't know whether how it is working or not.
No issue.
Because
We'll take care.
yeah, I'm able to see that all the composite and the things, but I'm not able to integrate WebLogic server. It seems that's what I'm
Hmm.
trying. I'm trying it out.
Hmm.
Okay, it's fine. And what do you cover in the admin, administration? So administration is what I'm going to learn on that.
I'll do one thing. I'll share the course content of my admin as well.
Okay. Okay, and when will be the batch starts? Like, because my timings, right? The timings are not synced with you. Like the other guys who are coming, I don't know, like whether I'm I'm going to be synced with them or not. That is my main concern. Other than that, nothing I have.
Mm-hmm. I think let us pick it up if we have any other questions. Bhushan, do you have any questions? Okay, so that's actually good. Yeah, Bhushan.
Mm.
Yeah, Bhumaya. Bhushan?
Bomaya,
Oh,
Bomaya.
sorry.
His name is
Yeah. Bhumaya.
Bomaya.
Any questions, sir?
Yeah, no. Time is currently okay. When you starting a course, you can get new questions. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Okay, that's good.